We continue now at the top of Daf Chaf Aleph on Meseches Yoma. This is Yoma Daf 21b. The Gemara is in the middle of proving that the miracle that happened with the lechem aponim, that it stayed hot, was actually a public miracle, because Reish Lakish here explains the pasuk says that the shulchan was tahor, implying that the shulchan was mekabel tumah. It could in theory become tumah. So the Gemara says klietz ha'asil lenachasu. Why should it become tummy? This is a klietz that's made lenachas, as Rashi says she'enu metaltel. You don't move it around. Uklietz le'inyan tumah hukash lasak shenemar mikol klietz o beged o or o sak v'gomer masak metaltel moli v'reikon. Just like sak, it's something that can be moved around, whether it's full, whether it's empty. Av klietz metaltel moli v'reikon. So to klietz, to be mekabel tumah, have to be klietz that are moved around. So over here, how could you say that it's mekabel tumah? And Rashi says v'afagav the shulchan mitzupa bezav. Now, even though the shulchan was coated with gold, batel tzipoi legabe kedamrin b'shili chagiga shani shulchan dekarya rachmona eitz. The Torah calls it wood. The tzipoi, the coating, is considered batel. But in any case, again, klietz asel lenachasu v'chol klietz asel lenachas. Anytime you have a klietz that's asel lenachas that doesn't move around, eino mekabel tumah. It's not mekabel tumah. V'chotz it's b'fnei tumah, and it separates in front of tumah. So the Gemara says, rather, Melami, this comes to teach us, Shemagabiyano so la'ole regalim, that they actually did move around the shulchan. They would pick it up for the ole regalim, v'yomrim lahem, and they would say to the ole regalim, Ru'uchi baschem lefnei hamakom, see how beloved you are to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shesiluko kisiduro, because the bread is as hot when you take it off as it is when you put it on. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, Lasum lechem chom b'yom hilakcho. Again, it's lechem chom even b'yom hilakcho, and therefore you see a proof that indeed when it comes to the lechem aponim, that miracle was a miracle that happened on the outside. It was a miracle that the public could see, and therefore it counts among the miracles of the Beis HaMikdash. And the Gemara continues, V'su lekar, there are no other miracles in the Beis HaMikdash. V'yomer Rav Oshia, but Rav Oshia said, B'shosh abana Shlomo Beis HaMikdash, at the time that Shlomo built the Beis HaMikdash, nata bo kol minei megadim shel zav, he planted all kinds of golden fruits, v'yomotzian peirosein bezmanon, and then they would bring forth fruit at the proper time. And when the wind would blow, it would take off the fruits. It would cause the fruits to fall. Shenemar, like it says, Yirash kalavonon pirio. It says that the levanon, its fruits are going to rustle. Now the point over here is the levanon is considered like the Beis HaMikdash. The point is that the fruits would actually grow in the Beis HaMikdash. And then when the nachrim, when the non-Jews came into the heichal, to the Beis HaMikdash, yavesh, these trees, they dried up, they withered. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, uferach levanon umlal. It says that the perach levanon, the umlal means they withered, again they dried up. V'yaser HaKadosh Baruch Hu lachzir, and in the future HaKadosh Baruch Hu will return these trees. Shenemar, like it says, paruach tifrach b'sogel af gilas v'ranein kavod halevanon nitan lo. Again, the idea paruach tifrach, it's going to blossom once again. So in any case, you see there was an additional miracle that took place in the Beis HaMikdash. Gemara answers, Nisei dekvi lo kachashiv. Permanent miracles, ongoing miracles, those are not counted. And the Gemara says, well, hashta das is lachi. Once you say that, aron ukruvim nami, when it comes to the aron and the kruvim as well, Nisei dekvi ninhu, those are permanent miracles, and those will not count in the list either. And Rashi over here says, dekvi, permanent miracles, kavuim v'omdim tamid v'mekom. And what that means is if you have a miracle that's standing perpetually, that's always there, that's not going to count in the list of miracles of the Beis HaMikdash. And the point of the Gemara is, once we eliminate the aron and the kruvim, because these are nisi dekvi, these are perpetual miracles, that will answer our question on the previous Amud, that it seems that there are more than 10 miracles. Now there's no longer more than 10 miracles, because we are subtracting the miracle of the aron and the kruvim. And the Gemara continues, Amar Mar, the master said, V'yoshan ha'ma'aracha. When it mentioned the miracles that happened in the Beis HaMikdash, it said that the smoke of the ma'aracha didn't blow at all in any direction. So the Gemara asks, Umihave oshan b'ma'aracha, was there any smoke on the Mizbeach at all? V'atanya, but we learned in a brisa, Chamisha devarim nemru be'eshal ma'aracha. There are 5 things that are said about the fire that's on the Mizbeach. Ravutza ka'ari, it crouched like a lion. Uvara kacham, it was clear like the sun. V'yesh ba mamish, it had substance to it. V'yocheles lachin kiyavation, it also was able to consume items that were moist, just like items that were dry. V'eina mala oshan, and finally it had no smoke. So apparently there was no smoke that came from the fire on the Mizbeach. So the Gemara says, Kiko amrinan b'dehedyot. When we say there was smoke from this fire, that's the fire that was brought by the humans. In other words, there were 2 fires on the Mizbeach. There was one fire that came from Shamayim, and there's another fire that came that was brought by the Kohanim. The Tanya, as we learned in a brisa, v'nosnu b'nei Aaron hakohen eish al Mizbeach. It says that the children of Aaron would put the fire on the Mizbeach. That comes to teach us, even though there was a fire that came down from heaven, mitzvah lahavi min hahedyot, there's a mitzvah to bring an eish from a person as well. The Gemara continues, Revutzo Koari, it says that the fire crouched like a lion. Vatanya, but didn't we learn in a brayso? Rabbi Chanina Skana Kohanim said, Ani Re'isia, I saw the fire in the Beis HaMikdash, Urevutzo Kekelev, and it was crouching like a dog. So is it like a dog or is it like a lion? Gemara says, Lokash, it's not difficult. Kan Mikdash Rishon, Kan Mikdash Sheni. In one case, we're talking about Mikdash Rishon. That's what we're talking about, where it crouches like a lion. And Rabbi Chanina Skana Kohanim, he was alive during the second Beis HaMikdash. In that case, it was crouching like a kelev. Gemara says, "Uva mikdash sheni mihavoy." But in mikdash sheni, was there even a fire that came down from heaven at all? Remember, all of these miracles were from the eish min hashamayim, and now you seem to be saying that in the Beis HaMikdash Hasheni, the fire came down from Shamayim. V'yamer Rav Shmuel bar Inya, but didn't Rav Shmuel bar Inya say, "Mai dechsiv"? What does the pasuk mean when it says ve'irotze bo ve'kaved ve'karinon ve'kavda? Even though it says a kaved without a hay, we read it with a hay. Mai shnad mechusar hay. Why is it that we're missing a hay in this pasuk? And the Gemara says, "Elu chamisha dvarim." This pasuk is hinting to 5 things. Shahayu bein mikdash rishon lemikdash sheni. That was different between the first Beis HaMikdash and the second Beis HaMikdash, meaning 5 things that were missing in the second Beis HaMikdash. That's why the pasuk is missing a hay. The elu hain, and these are the 5 items: aron v'kaporas ukruvim. The first was the aron and everything that came along with it. The aron, the kaporas, and the kruvim. The second one is eish, the fire, u'shchina, and the shchina is number 3. V'ruach hakodesh is number 4. V'urim v'tumim is number 5. In any case, you see over here that eish, meaning the fire from the heavens, was missing in the Beis HaMikdash Hasheni. And the Gemara answers, Amri, they answer as follows, in Mahave Hava. Really, there was a fire from Shamayim in the second Beis HaMikdash. However, Siyue lo Messiah. However, that fire was just there. It was visible, but it did not help in terms of consuming anything. And Rashi over here notes, Ve'ertze bo ve'akavda chaser hay, it's missing a hay. B'nevuas Chagai ksiva. This pasuk is written by the Nevu of Chagai. U'bebayasheni mishtoi kra. And the pasuk there is talking about Bayasheni. It's talking about the second Beis HaMikdash, meaning the second Beis HaMikdash is missing the hay. It's missing these 5 items. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Sheish ishos hain, there are 6 kinds of fire. Yesho chelas ve'ena shosa, there are some kinds of fire that can consume solids but not liquids. V'yeshosa ve'ena chelas, some can consume liquids but not solids. V'yesho chelas vishosa, some fires consume solids and liquids. V'yesho chelas lachin kiyavation, some fires consume things that are moist just like things that are dry. V'yesh eish docha eish, there are some kinds of fire that push off other kinds of fire. V'yesh eish ochelas eish, and there are some kinds of fire that can consume other fires. Yesh eish ochelas ve'eno shosa, the Gemara says there's some kind of fires that can eat but cannot drink, again solids and not liquids. Hadidon, that refers to our fires, natural fires. They consume solids, they don't consume liquids. Shosa ve'eno ochelas, there are fires that consume liquids but not solids. Decholin, that refers to somebody who's sick. Somebody who's sick, the body heats up and it dehydrates them. It causes all of their liquids to leave, so to speak, but it's not ochelas, it doesn't consume anything. Ochelas vishosa, there are fires that consume and they drink, in other words, solids and liquids. De Elio, that refers to the fire of Elio Novi, Techsiv, like the pasuk says, Ves hamayim asher beta'elo lichacha. It says that the water, it was licked up by the fire. Ochelas lachin kiyavation, then there are also fires that consume stuff which is moist, just like stuff which is dry. Dema'arocha, that refers to the fire of the Mizbeach, as we said earlier. Yesh eish docha eish, there's some fire that can push away other fire. De Gavriel, that refers to the fire of Gavriel. Gavriel was a malach of fire, and he was able to push away the fire that was threatening Hananiah, Mishael, Vazariah in Sefer Daniel. V'yesh eish ochelas eish, there's also fire that consumes other fire. The Shechina, that refers to the fire of the Shechina itself. The Yomar Mar, as the Master said, Hoshit etzbo beineim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, stuck his finger out among them, meaning among the angels who are also made of fire. V'sarfan, and he was able to burn them. You see that the fire of the Shechina could burn the fire of the Malachim. And the Gemara continues, V'yoshan ha'marocha afilu kol harucho sheba'olam ein mezizos osomi mekomo. Is it really true that the smoke that came from the Mizbeach, even all the winds that would blow towards it, it wouldn't move the smoke at all? V'yomer Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimai, but didn't Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimai say, B'motzoi Yom Tov ha'achron shel Chag, on the end, right after the last Yom Tov of Sukkos, Hakol Sofin Liyoshan ha'marocha, everybody would look to the smoke that came from the Ma'arocha. Nota klapet safon, if it tended towards the north, that means that the wind was blowing from the south. Aniyim smeichin uvale batim atzevin. The poor were very happy, but the owners, the the owners of the land, they were sad. Because there would be a lot of rain that year, and it would mean there'd be a lot of fruits, but they would spoil. They wouldn't be able to be stored properly. Therefore, the Balabatim would sell the fruit at a very low price, so the Aniyim would be happy, but the Balabatim would not be happy because they'd have to sell immediately at a low price because they couldn't store this fruit because of the large amount of rain. Not of klape daram. Now let's say the smoke tended towards the south, so then aniyim matzav, and then the poor were sad. Uvalebatim smechem, and the balabatim were happy because there wasn't a lot of rain. Uperosein mishtamrin, they would be able to store their fruits. It would last a long time. Not a klape mizrach, if the smoke tended towards the east, hakol samech, and then everybody would be happy. The idea there is there would be enough rain that there would be a large amount of fruit, but there would not be so much rain, so it would be possible to preserve this fruit. Klape ma'ir, finally, if it tended towards the west, hakol atzavin, everyone would be sad. In that case, the idea was there would be a drought, there would not be fruit really at all, so that would be a problem for everybody. Rashi over here says, Motzah Yom Tov ha'achron shel Chag shemei esmol nischatim gzar dinam al gishmei shana. The day before the last day of Sukkot, that's when there's the gzar din on the rains of the year, kedetanan b'chag nidon al amayim, like it says in the Mishnah, on Sukkot we are judged on the rain. Nota klape tzafan, if it went towards the north, sharuach hadromis noshevis, meaning the southern wind is blowing, uperosein markiven, that causes the fruits, as we said, to rot. Ve'enon yicholin la'otzer, and you're not able to store it properly. Uposchen umochen osan bezul. So the balabatim would have to sell it very cheap. That's why the aniyim were happy, but not the balabatim. Hakol smechem, everyone was happy. Sharuach ma'aravish shkulahi umevia geshamim lefi haroi, because the western wind is a good wind. It brings a proper amount of rain. Lo haperos markiven, it doesn't cause the fruits to rot. Utvuas hazer matzlachas ve'in rov ba'olam, but there's no famine, there's plenty of food. Hakol atzavim, everyone is sad. Shu ruach hamiyaveshes hazazurim, that causes everything to dry out. Kedamrin Meseches Gittin, like it says in Meseches Gittin, and so therefore that's why everyone is unhappy in such a situation. Again, that last situation is talking about when the wind is blowing from the east. In any case, the Gemara here has a question. It sounds like here the smoke does blow in various directions. So the Gemara says, Da'azil va'asi kedikli. It does move around, it sways, similar to a palm tree. However, ve'avdure lo havev mivdar. However, the smoke never dissipates. That's what it means to say that the smoke doesn't blow with the wind. And the Gemara continues, Amar Mar, the master said, Klape Mizrach Hakol Smechin, if the smoke is moving towards the east, meaning it's a western wind, everyone is happy. Klape Ma'ariv, if the smoke is moving towards the west, meaning it's an eastern wind, Hakol Atzav, and then everyone is sad, sounds like an eastern wind is bad. Uriminu, we have a contradiction, Mizrachis, if the wind blows from the east, Liolam Yaf, it's always good. Ma'aravis, and if it blows from the west, Liolam Kash, it's always difficult. Ruach Tzifonis, a northerly wind, Yafel Lechitin, that's good for the wheat, Bishash Heviu Shlish, if the wheat's already grown a third of the way. The kasha lezesim, but it's bad for the olives, bisman shein chonten, at the time that the olives are ripening. And ruach deromis, the southern wind, kasha lechitin, it's difficult for the wheat, bishash heviu shlish, when it's a third of the way grown. The yafa lezesim, bisman shein chonten, but it's good for the olives at the time that they are ripening. In any case, you see over here a contradiction, because the Brisa says the mizrach is the eastern wind is always good, but what we quoted before seems to say that the eastern wind is bad. And so the Gemara says, V'yomer Rav Yosef v'itema Mar Zutra. Rav Yosef says, some say Mar Zutra says, V'simonech, the simon to remember this is Shulchan b'tzafon. The Shulchan is in the north, u'menorah b'daram, and the menorah is in the south. Meaning, as the Gemara explains, Hai Mar b'didei, this one increases its own item, V'hai Mar b'didei, and the other one increases its own item. Meaning, the Shulchan is in the north, that's a reference to the northern wind. That's good for the item that's on the Shulchan, meaning the bread, meaning the wheat. And the menorah is in the south, meaning the southern wind. That's good for the item that's in the menorah, which is the olive oil. That's good for the olives. In any case, though, again, we have a contradiction in terms of the eastern wind. Is it good or is it bad? And the Gemara says, Lokash, it's not difficult. Halon v'halahu. It depends if you're talking about those who live in Eretz Yisrael or those who live in Bavel. Rashi over here says, Halon v'halahu mizrachis yofel Eretz Bavel. The eastern wind is good for those in Bavel. She Eretz Lacha, because it's an area which is moist. Machmas me meholiolam, because it's got rivers, so it always has a certain moisture. Ula Eretz Yisrael kasha, but when it comes to Eretz Yisrael, the eastern wind is difficult. She Eretz harim uvekos umemaheres liavish, because that's already a land of mountains and valleys. It dries very easily, and therefore the eastern wind can be more difficult for the land of Eretz Yisrael. Hadron aloch shivas yomim. This is the end of Perek Shivas Yomim. And if you're enjoying the videos on this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And you can take a look at the description box below to see how you can support this channel. And we'll continue with the next video on Daf Chaf Beis Amud Aleph.